An enormous pleasure to be here. I know you have to have 3 generations buried in a local cemetery to be regarded as local, but I have got the local connection here. As was mentioned, I spent my teenage years in Coffs Harbour. My father was one of the original teachers at Aurora High School. I do have known Bellingen. I think my first experience of Bellingen was travelling in New England Highway when the Pacific Highway was cut by a flood, coming down through, I think it's called Waterfall Way now. We used to refer to it as the Dorrigo Pass, and on a wet, foggy day with some huge lumber truck bearing down behind you around those hairpin bends. And when you reach Bellingen alive, you do truly believe you have reached the promised land. And then, after that, I suppose, growing up, we were always coming out here to picnic at the Promised Land and ride sort of, rubber inner tubes down the rapids. And I've brought my own children out here as well to experience that. And I've played cricket out here. It's, I played inter-district cricket and school cricket against Bellingen High. I sort of know the area well. It is beautiful. As Peter Carey said, it is the perfect site and setting for a writers' festival. You've got that wonderful mix of the sort of rustic and the conservative and the artistic and the hippie and the wacky. And you have cows, which is very important. I once went to a major literary event, it's a Boucher Hunt, a big crime festival that was held in this particular year in Madison, Wisconsin. Madison is famous for having painted cows. They decorate the town. These concrete cows that have been painted by some of the most remarkable artists in the world, painted them. But you guys go one better because you have real cows. I didn't know what to talk about. I'm actually going to talk about, because this is the inaugural Bellingen Writers Festival, I'm going to talk about festivals. If truth be told, I love writers' festivals. I'd live in my, with my wonderful wife and 3 daughters and write in my pit of despair basement office, and I'm locked in a box, and sort of once or twice a year they let me loose to come to wonderful festivals and meet readers. I have been to festivals now, I was trying to work out the other day, I've been to festivals all around the world. In the Netherlands, and I'm just literally on Wednesday back from Germany, a literary festival in Cologne, and another one in Leipzig, and they are amazing events. They fall into certain categories. In the American literary festivals, you have, America's the only place where you have groupies. Now, writers are lucky to get their partners to sleep with them. But in an event, these groupies that you get in America, they are wannabe writers, and they follow you around with manuscripts, and they're desperate to get you to read and quote on their unpublished manuscript in the hope that a publisher will pick them up. And this is exactly what happens. And the other thing you get in American festivals, which you don't get here, is you get collectors. And they will buy 2 hardback copies of your first edition in English, wherever it's published anywhere in the world. One of them will be wrapped in plastic and never soiled by anything other than the author's signature. And a second copy has to be purchased because that's the one they read. And you turn up, and they will turn up with a milk crate on a trolley, and they'll turn up and you will sign the first edition copies for them. Some of them won't, I don't think, ever read the book. They're simply there to collect the signature. The beauty of festivals like this one is I know that you're readers. You're not just there to sort of get a signature on a book and put it on eBay within about 20 minutes. As I said, I arrived back on Wednesday from Germany. German festivals are interesting. In Germany they love readings, and you travel with an actor who reads for you. I will read a passage in English, and the actor will read a passage in German, because some in the audience will understand both, and others will just understand the German. I travelled, my first German tour, I travelled with a man called Ralph Bauer, who is a very famous actor in Germany. He's a complete and utter heartthrob actor. He first became famous in a sort of a windsurfing drama where he was forever being filmed with his shirt off. And he became an absolute sort of, he was a pin-up. I decided before I travelled with Ralph I should Google him to find out a bit about this man that I was touring with. And I Googled, and it was all in German, so I put it through one of these internet translation sort of devices. And I seem to be reading the fact that this man was in the Guinness Book of Records in Germany for having slept with 15,000 women. Oh my God, and I'm trying to work it out. It seemed to suggest that this man had slept with about 4 women a day since he was 17. Oh, he's a Superman, I thought. Well, of course, when I arrived and I was in awe of meeting him, I discovered that he's in the Guinness Book of Records for having kissed 15,000 women as part of a charity event where he had to... But even so, it's the only time I've ever toured where people would turn up just to see Ralph. They weren't turning up to see me. And in particular, young women would turn up because he was such a heartthrob. One of them turned up, actually, and she was, as I discovered afterward, she was sitting in the front row, and she was Miss German Playboy, October 2007. I don't normally get Playboy models turning up at my events. It was, I think she was 36, 24, 36, according to the... and she wanted sort of to be an actress and believed in world peace or something like that. And I was quite taken, and I thought, okay, what can I do? Because at that point I'd been touring for about 5 cities with Ralph, and I think he'd gone home with a different young lady back to the hotel every night. And so I decided that we were touring a book called Shatter, which some of you may have read, and I decided that come the reading time, I would get Ralph to read the psychopath passages. There wasn't a woman in the place that wanted to go home with Ralph. What other festivals? Actually, without a doubt, the truly weirdest festival anywhere in the world is called Semana Negra in Spain, in Gijón in Spain, or Gijón. It's in northern Spain on the Atlantic. Now, if I tell you, this is a crime festival, Semana Negra means the Black Week, and that means the crime wars. 1 million people turn up over 10 days. So, Jenny Kaplan, formerly of Byron Bay. I know Byron is the most amazing festival. We're having 18,000 people in 3 days, astonishing. Imagine 1 million people.
I am.
Over 10 days. In truth, though, it's long ago stopped being a crime festival, and it's now a full-on fiesta. There's music, and there's comedy, and there's arts, and the crime festival is just a very small part of what's turned into a massive festival. Let me tell you, the events don't start until 10 o'clock at night, because the Spanish don't even get out of bed. I mean, I remember I turned up for breakfast at midday, and breakfast didn't start till 2 p.m. It totally threw me out. Anyway, so you turn up at these events, and it's full-on Nuremberg trial, simultaneous translation. Everyone in the audience is wearing cams, and there are 2 translators in a booth up the back that are translating everything that I say into Spanish, and one of them is translating Spanish back to me. Okay, now let me tell you, Norman Mailer was there the year that I was there. And these are hour-long sessions, it's a bit like we have at most festivals here. And Norman Mailer had 2 people introducing him who were so excited about the fact that their great hero was with them. They spoke for 45 minutes in introduction while Norman Mailer sat there, and the crowd got more and more nervous and disturbed the fact that when are they going to hear from the great man himself? 45 minutes before Norman Mailer uttered his first word. I had a similar event. My translator, my Spanish translator, was my interviewer, who I was rather concerned about because her English was so bloody awful. I'm thinking, this woman's translating me into Spanish. I mean, her first word to me was, my English not very good. I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's a really promising start when it comes to my Spanish translation. But she spoke for 25 minutes in introduction and gave away the entire plot of every one of my novels. She was so excited. Oh, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And I'm listening to all this. At the end of it all, we do this session, and we ask for questions from the audience. And the first hand goes up, and the member of the public, or whatever, the guest, has said to me, The blight of Aborigines in Australia, do you feel it your personal responsibility as a writer to highlight the blight of Aborigines in Australia and their appalling treatment over generations? Okay, well, sorry. I write crime novels that are set in the UK, and I agree, I mean, the treatment's been important, but really, I write crime novels set in the UK.